campaign launch. We're excited to kick off what we believe is going to be a standout year for the Green Party candidates, especially those running for Congress. The Green Congressional Campaign Committee came together last year to support campaigns by producing video ads, running social media outreach, and offering candidate consultations, as well as other support. This year, we're hitting the ground running. We're starting earlier, helping campaigns build teams, craft strong platforms, and engage directly with voters nationwide through outreach and get out the vote efforts. And of course, we'll be spotlighting our incredible candidates at events like this one throughout the year, every month. Before we dive in, we'd like to introduce our committee members. I'm Samantha Hull from Colorado. I'll be one of tonight's hosts. I've been with the Green Party for 8 years now, almost 9, since 2016. I'm the treasurer for the GCCC, so I take care of all the finances and FEC filings for the committee. I'm also the secretary to the Green Party of Colorado and a national delegate representing Colorado. I worked on both the 2016 and 2024 Stein campaigns. And my other MC tonight is Justin Beth, and I'm going to allow him to introduce himself.
Hi, hello, everybody. As Sam was saying, my name is Justin Beth. I've been a Green since 2016, since I got burned by Bernie Sanders. And many of you maybe recognize my name as being active at the national committee level. I'm here in Maine, so I've done a lot of stuff with Maine Greens, including working on Lisa Savage's campaign for United States Senate. I'm very passionate about, winning a seat in Congress. So I was very excited to be given a chance to serve on the Green Congressional Campaign Committee. And I serve as a secretary and really appreciate the opportunity to be with you all tonight to kick off the campaign season for 2025 or 2026. Sorry. But yeah, that's a great start. So I'll go ahead and pass it off here to Ronnie. Are you here? Can you introduce yourself to the folks out there?
Thank you. Yes, I'm here. My name is Ronnie Spang. I am a GCC member from California. I'm a lavender green. I have been registered either as a no party preference or green since the 1990s. I first registered as a green in the 90s, but due to California's changed laws in 2012, I went to no party preference because I wanted to be able to support peace and freedom and PSL, the Party for Socialism and Liberation. But then in 2023, I said, you know what, I need to throw my support behind the Greens only because the other parties just aren't big enough. And, I'm very passionate about socialism, the climate. I'm a lavender green, so I'm obviously LGBT. I'm on the Eco Action Committee through the Lavender Greens, and I still have a year left in that committee as well. I care a lot about the environment. My contributions here are pretty minor. I'm mostly a doorstop paperweight, although I do some stuff with social media. I try to do strategy and research. That's 2 things that I'm pretty good at. I would like to pass it off to Hallie. Go Green.
Excellent.
Well, thanks, Ronnie. Hi, everyone. I'm Hallie Karras. I am in Michigan, and I've been a Green since high school. I kind of got involved with the committee during the election season last year to help out with running some YouTube ads and things like that, and then just became a member, I guess just a few months ago, like an official committee member. So really happy to be here and meet all of you. Thanks. And I will pass it to Starlene.
Actually, there's one other person I wanted to kind of acknowledge here that has joined us tonight, a really fantastic volunteer. So the people that have introduced themselves so far are committee members, but we have a really fantastic volunteer that's joined us. Jimmy J, you want to just give a few words to the people and talk about a little bit about what you do to help out with the campaign committee?
Sure. Thanks for having me, Justin, and thank you all. I appreciate it. Yes, I'm a volunteer on the Green Congressional Campaign Committee, and I joined back in the summer of last year. One of the best decisions I made because knowing I feel represented as a Palestinian American for myself and my people. I'm down here in Louisiana, so we're trying our best to survive. For the most part, I do a lot of the social media and the graphics and help out wherever they need me to. But glad to be here, glad to be with these fantastic people who dedicate their time and efforts every day to make sure this movement continues. Thanks for having me, Justin.
Oh, we're very grateful for you volunteering on the committee, Jimmy. Really gets a lot of attention on our candidates there in social media. And yeah, so and before I introduce Starlene, just want to mention a couple of other committee members that couldn't make it tonight. Maybe they'll join us a little bit later, but Kalia Fitzgerald, who's in North Carolina, is our communications person, and Ariel Cyprian isn't here tonight, but really fantastic, dynamic person with a lot of great talents, and was our field person, which will, when we show you some of the campaign ads later on, a lot of that work is due to Ariel putting those together. So Starlene, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Sure, thank you, Justin. Hi, everybody. I'm Starlene. I've been a Green since 1996. Been at this for quite a long time, and I love it. It's a labor of love. And I've been on all kinds of different national committees, including a national co-chair. And I helped get this group reactivated a few years ago, and I'm really excited about what we've done and what we've got planned to do, and feel, very hopeful that, we may just be getting someone in Congress fairly soon and actually turning that building as green as we can. Yeah, so yeah, I think that's about for me. I'm the chair, and I love it. And I'm really happy you're all here. Thank you so much for coming, and I hope you'll tell your friends about this video when it comes out, and ask them to watch it, and maybe be able to donate a little money if you've got it. We really appreciate that too. And just a quick reminder for the new folks, please keep your video off and your audio off until we get to the Q&A section. We'd really appreciate that. Okay, are you gonna introduce the next person, or should I? Go ahead.
Yeah, well, next up would be Rick Lass, who may be familiar to some of you as well. I'll let Rick introduce himself and the role he has here, the very important role he has here on the committee as well. And take it away, Rick.
Great. Thank you so much, Justin and Sam and the rest of the committee. And thanks everyone who's here tonight. I hope you find it enjoyable and edifying. My name's Rick Lass. I live on traditional Apache homeland in southern New Mexico. I've been involved with the Greens at many different levels since the mid-90s, including as a party officer, candidate, and campaign manager. I'm currently one of New Mexico's delegates to the National Committee and the chairman of the Ballot Access Committee. But most pertinent and most exciting is I'm the fundraiser for the Green Congressional Campaign Committee. And I'm really excited to be working with this group. As you can see, it's made up of really active and enthusiastic Greens who want to see our candidates win elections and have positive impacts in our communities. We selected this date for our launch since it's the culmination of the annual Earth Day to May Day celebrations. More than a decade ago, it was Greens who coined the phrase Green New Deal and have been working towards it since even before we coined the phrase, because we understand the inseparable relationship between environmental stewardship and work with dignity. And likewise, what's now being called the just transition from fossil fuels, Greens have been talking about for decades, except we used to refer to it as environmental justice, which is the merger between ecology and a just economy. Workers' rights are a keystone of our platform. Back in the 90s, it was two hotbeds of green activity, San Francisco, California, and Santa Fe, New Mexico, that passed the highest living wages of the time. And note that I call them living wages. A lot of other politicians and parties call it the minimum wage, and incrementally when forced to hike it. But Greens understand the moral imperative of workers earning enough money to live on and feed themselves and their family and have a right to shelter and health care and on. But we'll get to a lot of that tonight. So stay tuned in, because what you're going to see tonight are living examples of how this committee, the Green Congressional Campaign Committee, is going to be able to promote people like Sean and Kymone who stand up for these values and don't just talk about them and wait to be forced to do something. So with that, the donation link is now open. Enjoy the evening.
Thank you, Rick. Really, Rick's doing a great job here. You know, as we go along here, and we explain what the committee does and what we're trying to produce here, with for our candidates, I think you'll see, and we'll talk a little bit, about how far like an investment in the GCCC can go. So Sam, do you want to talk a little bit more about the committee here, the structure of it, before we get into sharing some of the videos and hearing from Kymone and Sean later?
Yeah, thank you, Justin. So I'm going to let you guys know a little bit about our committee. Our mission as a committee is to help recruit and support Green Party members running for Congress. Green candidates for Congress will be strong supporters of the 4 pillars of the Green Party, that being peace, democracy, ecology, and social justice. They will bring these values to the forefront of their local communities and of the national stage. We're very excited about our role in promoting their campaigns. Tonight, we're going to view some of the video ads that we cut last election cycle, so you guys can get a flavor of our work. Then we're going to feature 2 outstanding candidates from the last election who will reflect on their impact and give us a glimpse into the possibilities of 2026. After that, Justin's going to talk a little bit about the impact of running and winning these congressional seats. Congressional campaigns will have on our communities in our country, and then Rick will address some of the ways that the committee can help us get there. Finally, we have reserved the end of this call for Q&A. So at the end, save your questions. Let us know what you'd like to hear. Now on to the fun.
Thanks so much, Sam. And before we get started showing some of the videos, just I'd like to recap a little bit about how things worked out in 2024 for us. So we reformed, again, Starlene had the vision to say we really need to have a committee that's focused on congressional campaigns. And those of you who know some of the Green Party history, there was a Green House campaign committee and a Green Senate campaign committee. And Democrats and Republicans essentially have these committees as well. If we actually get somebody elected to Congress, they become a member of the committee automatically. Again, we really have this focus on Congress. And again, we started off like, okay, getting some candidates, finding candidates that were interested in running in 2024. We then interviewed them and brought them on board. We initially started helping out with getting interviews with podcasters, some independent YouTube podcasters out there like Savvy Sabs or I think Hardlines Media. We got a candidate or 2 on, and hope to do more of that in this election cycle as well. And we also had some people, with the ability, again, Ariel, our field organizer, was able to go to candidates on the ground, help them with producing some graphics and literature, and also getting some good visual shots and videos, and we'll again get into those a little bit later. So then we really were so lucky to get connected with Hallie. And by the way, Hallie's father, Pete Karras, is actually going to be running. What's the office he's running for, Hallie, again?
Secretary of State in Wisconsin.
Wisconsin. So please keep an eye out for him. And is that in this cycle, 2025, right? Or is it 26?
I think it's 26. I think it's 26.
Okay.
Yeah.
So please, those of you who know Pete, he's a wonderful guy too. And but Hallie has a real special gift with videos and marketing. So Hallie, do you want to talk a little bit about, what we can do with these kind of videos for candidates?
Yeah, absolutely. So first of all, we had really great videos to work with, which is always helpful. So Ariel kind of going around the country, filming and then editing really powerful campaign ads for our candidates was absolutely amazing. We then took those videos that we put on YouTube and we ran YouTube ads. So basically, It's paid ads to push the videos out to people who, basically anybody who can vote for the candidates. So it might be a congressional district, a whole state for the Senate. In some cases, we collaborated with candidates and things like that. It's like, okay, do you want to target people specifically? Do you want to be really broad? Things like that. And so it was really fun. It was very exciting in the last weeks leading up to the election, which I think was the right time to do it, because you're really getting in front of people at the right time. And for a pretty low budget, we got over 500,000 video views for the candidates. About 500 clicks. Oh, go ahead.
And with a low budget, we're talking it was probably less than $5,000 altogether. We raised
Yeah, I think it was
in the
about
last
3. It was a really low budget. Yeah, but we got
like
out
3,000.
there. And we had a really high engagement rate. So engagement rate is somebody not only watching the video, but then they're liking it, they're sharing it, they're subscribed, something like that. In some cases, we have an engagement rate of up to 75%. So 3 out of 4 people that watched the video did something to engage with it. The more like in the middle, it was like 15%, 30%, but that's outstanding. I have a small digital marketing firm, and my clients would kill for an engagement rate like that. So I think the quality of the content was really great. And then the fact that we were able to target, anybody that can vote in the districts where our candidates were running, I think was really exciting and powerful. In 2026 and beyond, there's things we can do with running streaming TV ads. That is a little bit more expensive than YouTube ads. So with the right kind of budget, we can do that, which not only gets in front of people, but I think it adds some really nice legitimacy when you see a candidate you're thinking about voting for with a TV commercial. And those would run on places like Hulu and Paramount and basically anywhere except for Netflix. And yeah, so that's what we did this year. It went really well, and really hoping to do more of it for future elections.
Thank you so much, Hallie, for explaining that. And really, it was great to see the ads, and we're gonna go through some of those right now. And so I'm gonna do a screen share. And please let me know if there's any difficulties with seeing these ads or hearing the audio. And so I'll go ahead and start this up. And let's see. All right, can you all see this here? Somebody say yes, hopefully.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay,
Full
so we're gonna get
screen.
started here with Justin Phillip, who ran for U.S. House in Oregon District 4.
Can you make it full
Make
screen?
it full
I
screen,
Definitely
Justin.
will. Yep.
Okay.
All right.
As full as it can go. It's okay.
That's good.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Justin Phillip, and I'm running for Congress to help bring democracy to a broken system. The Green Party is a working class party with working class interests. This sets us apart from the 2 major parties who are owned and operated by billionaires and corporations. It's time to get big money out of politics, support publicly funded elections, and adopt ranked choice voting. We need to elect leaders who will put people, the planet, and peace before profits. Don't ever let anyone tell you better things aren't possible. They are when we work together. I'm Justin Phillip, and I approve this message.
Hello, Eric.
So that was Justin Phillip, again, a really, really dynamic candidate there. And we'll carry on with this. Next one up is Eduardo Quintana, who ran for U.S. Senate in Arizona. It was a very exciting race. And before I move on, how did that first one, you guys all able to see and hear that well enough? Well enough? Okay, good.
It was fine.
and
The video was a little choppy, but you could hear it fine.
Okay, we'll go on to Eduardo.
Arizona. I'm Eduardo Quintana, Green Party candidate for the U.S. Senate. We must stop the genocide now. I call for an immediate ceasefire and end arms sales to Israel. Innocent lives are at stake. Our government must prioritize peace over military action. As your senator, I will advocate for justice and push for diplomacy to ensure humanitarian aid reaches those in need. Join me in standing up for human rights. My name is Eduardo Quintana, and I approve this message.
Today I stand before you
And last is Michael Dublin, really fantastic candidate for North Carolina District 2.
Today I stand before you not just as a candidate, but as a voice for justice. I firmly support the rights of the Palestinian people and a free Palestine, refusing to turn a blind eye to oppression anywhere. This campaign is fueled by the people, not corporate interests. Together, we can forge a future of universal health care, livable wages, and environmental justice. Are you ready to join me in this fight? My name is Michael Dublin, and I approve this message.
All right. So I hope you're ready to join Michael Dublin and myself and the rest of the GCCC in this fight. Yeah, were you guys able to see it and hear those videos all right again?
They were okay.
Yeah,
They were
really
fine.
powerful stuff. I love to see those videos. Well, at this point, we've seen some of our those videos for our previous candidates in 2024. But let's hear from a couple of our candidates from 2024. First up, I'd like to welcome to the conversation Kymone Freeman, who ran for representative of DC, District Columbia. And I'll cover this short bio here. Kymone Freeman is an award-winning playwright, activist, political commentator, and co-founder of We Act Radio, one of the few progressive talk stations in America. We Act Radio was recognized as DC's best social justice station in 2017 by Washington City Paper and first place 2017 Public Media Journalists Association award winner. That's awesome. And he was honored by the Catalog for Philanthropy with the 2022 Changemaker Award at the Planet Word Museum. He is a subject of one chapter of the book, Beat of a Different Drum, the untold stories of African Americans forging their own paths in work and life, and a PBS online film festival for the documentary Fresh Prince of Anacostia. He was a founding board member of the Douglas Community Land Trust and has served on delegations to Cuba, Kenya, Venezuela, Ghana, and Grenada. He published a novel, Nevea, hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly, and feel free to correct me, Kymone, A Conflict Over Water with Strong Arm Press. He is now a congressional candidate for DC delegate, challenging the oldest member of Congress for a second time. So give it up to former 2024 congressional candidate Kymone Freeman and 2026 candidate for District of Columbia Representative Kymone Freeman. Grateful to have you.
Honored to be here. Is this a Q&A or do I state my case?
Kymone, why don't you tell us a little bit about your run last year and why you're running again? If and how the committee helped you and why we need this committee here for the Green Party candidates.
Well, the Green Party definitely helped me because otherwise I wouldn't have been able to have ballot access. And I think the Green Party has worked hard to create the infrastructure for that ballot access. And I think the time has come to expand upon it. I think that we are exploring the theories of social change here, and it's because of this platform that's making it possible. My run last year in 2024 was with no team, no infrastructure, no funds really, and we were still able to pull out more votes than Donald Trump got in the nation's capital. I got more votes than anyone who has ever challenged our 35-year incumbent in at least the last 10 election cycles, and I'm only stopping at 10 because that's as far back the records go that I have access to. So by all accounts, it was a resounding success. And I think that the more the people I talk to, more people are actually open and more ready to hear from third-party candidates. I think it has been a slow burn that has now begun to catch fire. I myself have been a Green Party member since 2000, and I remember it was being treated like a pariah to be publicly acknowledged as a Green Party member or a third party candidate for that matter. I think that has changed. And I think that Trump 2.0 is ushering in that change, much like the upset we just saw in Canada with the Trump's threat to Canada flipped the election from what was sure win for the Conservative Party to a Liberal Party. And I think that we could expect that same type of flip here stateside, because especially since even Trump acknowledges that a 51st state is optional, but trying to enforce it upon Canada rather than actually giving it to the nation's capital. So I think all of those issues combined is why I had success then and why I'm running again now, which will undoubtedly have even more success next year.
Thank you so much, Kymone. We also have another candidate from last election cycle, Sean Dougherty here, who did amazing, by the way, guys. I'm going to give a little short bio and let him talk a little bit to you guys about his campaign and why he's continuing to run or has ran. Sean Dougherty joined the Green Party in 2020 after the presidential primary. Upon becoming a registered Green, Sean soon became involved with the Green Party of California, contributing his skills as a professional software engineer to help with membership outreach. Thanks to the encouragement from several longtime state party members, Sean ran in the 2024 primary for California's 19th congressional district. Although his run was initially a messaging campaign against a corrupt pro-war Democrat incumbent, Israel's genocidal response to October 7th changed everything. His uncompromised advocacy for a ceasefire and arms embargo forged deep bonds in the community, resulting in one of the strongest Green runs in the nation and a strong position to launch a 2026 campaign. His 2026 run is already miles ahead of the 2024 run, with paid staff, volunteers, and donations out the gate. Thank you for joining us, Sean. Why don't you let everyone here know a little about yourself?
Great. Thank you so much for having me. So first of all, I have to say hello to Jimmy J. I did not expect to see that name in this room today. I follow you on social media. It's awesome to see you here. That just really caught me off guard. Also, shout out to the GCCC for those videos. Those looked really good. I wish I had had a video like that in 2024. I look forward to working with you. I hope I can make one of those. Those were really nice, really well done, honestly. So, first, I want to say what I'm focused on as a candidate, particularly this cycle, and this was, I'd say, a focus as well in 2024. I think the reason why the Green Party matters is money. Our candidates aren't allowed to take campaign contributions, the dirty campaign contributions from the corporations and the special interests that create these conflicts of interest. And I think that really matters because these progressive Democrats, like the AOCs, et cetera, they say the right things, but then when it comes down to it, they don't vote the right way. Or maybe they'll vote the right way if the margin is big enough, right? If the margin is slim, then they'll take a rotating villain turn. And they play these games. At the end of the day, they don't stand up for what really matters. And we know why. It's because either the campaign contributions that they are taking or the campaign contributions that their bosses are taking within the party. And so that's why I think it really matters. Like winning with a progressive Democrat isn't winning, because once they get into office, they're not going to do what you need them to do. Okay, so it's worth the harder fight of getting a Green into office, because if you do get a Green into office, then they're actually going to have some backbone. So, all right, I'm starting to feel my blood boil. I get so angry when I think about how we've been betrayed. So speaking of members of Congress, the incumbent I've been running against, Jimmy Panetta, is one of the worst among them. So as mentioned in the bio, it was kind of a messaging campaign initially when I chose to run against Jimmy. My initial idea was just to file to run and then make some t-shirts that said things like, "My daddy didn't run the CIA, vote Sean for Congress." Like literally, Jimmy's daddy ran the CIA, was the CIA director, was defense secretary. That's the only reason why he's in office. He's a mediocre man. And he's taken hundreds of thousands of dollars in campaign donations from all the defense contractors and from APAC and from all the pesticide manufacturers. Like, if it's dirty, he takes it, and mostly because he's just so confident that nobody can touch him. And actually for that reason, which makes my district interesting because nobody serious will run against him. Nobody within the Democratic Party will. He's untouchable. And there are so few Republicans in the district that no serious Republican will run either. So it actually is a really incredible opportunity for the Green Party in this district. And I think that's actually why I did really well. People in this district are hungry for a change because especially since October 7th, people in this district understand that Jimmy Panetta is not just a flawed progressive. He's just the worst of the worst. Before October 7th, he had been against BDS. I think he had co-authored a bill that was against BDS. He didn't take much money from the Israel lobby. After October 7th, hundreds of thousands of dollars started flowing in. And then he, signed an open letter to the Secretary of State that was condemning South Africa's case before the ICJ. He voted to sanction the members of the ICC over their arrest warrant for Netanyahu, and on and on and on. And the community understands this. And this is, amongst Democrats, this is a 3-to-1 issue standing against what Israel is doing, right? So electorally speaking, it's a no-brainer to stand against what Israel is doing to the Palestinians. So there's a real opportunity there, especially as community awareness rises.
Thank you so much, Sean. Are you still, sorry, were you still talking?
Oh, I thought I had 10 minutes.
Yeah, you're fine.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I heard your pause.
Yeah, no, I was just changing subjects. You get Jimmy Panetta gets my blood boiling, so I just have to think a little bit.
I apologize to everybody. I got ahead of myself.
Yeah, well, so one thing I want to mention is I think we all know that the green agenda is very popular, not just amongst the Democrats and the Democrat-leaning independents, but for some issues amongst the general population. Like our support for Medicare for all is broadly popular, for example. And actually, what is it? 61% of Americans believe that climate change is human-caused. So I think we've got a lot of opportunity to reach a broad audience outside of just the Democrats, outside of just the no party preference. And if we can just convince these people who aren't going to bother to vote that we're something different, which I think we can convince them. And that's one of our biggest problems, I think, is that there's so much cynicism about electoralism right now because people have been burned so many times. I was burned by Bernie Sanders. I really believed in him. I gave him all the money I legally could, and I knocked on doors, and I created a local website. I made the phone calls, and I held fundraisers at local brewery. I did all of that stuff. And then I feel completely sold out. He ended up standing with Biden as Biden was committing a genocide. Although I saw him, I felt betrayed earlier than that, but that's one of the most egregious examples. And, I want to say that personally, and Kymone, I'll just say this, Kymone, I think Kymone, you're more charismatic than I am. I'll just say that. You feel free to disagree, but that's my honest opinion. My angle, I'm going for like Mr. Rogers, and I just, part of why I'm getting into this is I want to encourage other Greens to run for office, like regardless of what you think your strengths are. Who knows what's going to work? Like I'm not a super charismatic guy. I'm just kind of an ordinary middle-class white guy with a beard, and I did really well. You don't know what's going to resonate with people. And I think if you're authentic, it can resonate. So you don't have to be a phenomenal like AOC kind of character to get into office. So I really want people to think about running, even if they don't feel like they're up to it. The first time I stood up before an audience as a candidate, it was an endorsement forum with an organization that I've been working with for years. And my hand was shaking so much, I couldn't hold the microphone. And by the end of that campaign, I would stand up before an audience of 100, 200, no problem. And I could ad lib, So like, even if you don't, like, you just got to practice. Sorry, maybe this isn't quite what you're looking for from me, but we need people to run. The only way the Green Party is going to get stronger is if people run. People need to see Greens running up and down the ballot. They can't just see president. They need to see House, Senate, county supervisor, school board, all of it. Okay, so you don't have to run for Congress, but we do need people running for Congress. And all right, I do want to talk about why I think I did well. And I want to talk about my congressional district has 4 counties in it. And in 2 counties, I did really well, above 7%, which for a green is really good. And 2 counties, I did what I would say is typical of a green, which is around 2%. And when I want to talk about why I think I did differently in those 4 counties. In Santa Clara County, that's where San Jose is. That's Silicon Valley, huge Muslim American population. So I went to mosques and I stood outside mosques and I passed out flyers and I attended candidate forums. And ultimately, people in that community were putting out my yard signs all over the city at like intersections, you know, highway exits and that kind of thing. So they created a sense of grassroots support. I really think it was probably those yard signs. And then in Santa Cruz County, there were people knocking on doors for me with one of these organizations that endorsed me, and they were passing out flyers. So that created a sense of grassroots support. The other 2, so those are the 2 counties where I got 7% plus. The 2 counties where I got like 2%, I didn't have that kind of grassroots support. I showed up to a few events. You know, the people could see my website. So I think it was people seeing my support in this organic way in those 2 counties that really made the difference. And finally, yeah, moving forward, I'm gonna have I've got a campaign manager already. I've got a field director. I'm paying both of them. I think I've already fundraised in like a couple of weeks more than it took 6 months to do it the first time. And that's another thing I want to encourage people to do is if you run more than once, it's gonna be a heck of a lot easier the second time because you've already got the people that volunteered the first time who already trust you. So like out of the gate, they'll donate you some money and they'll know that you're serious. When you say I'm running for Congress, they say, oh, I saw you on the ballot and I voted for you. I know this is real. So that's another thing I would encourage people to do is run multiple times. And my time is over. That's my 10 minutes. Right. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sean. And before I want to talk to you a little bit about, you know, what you were talking about, Sean, with strategy and, you know, how can we do better in our elections? And really, you know, want to thank you and Kymone for being here as former candidates and now future candidates. And, you know, it's because of Greens like you that we are getting our message out. But before I get into some of the strategy stuff, I want to bring back Rick Lass to talk about a couple of other things we're trying to do with this committee here to bring more people in to help with the committee, which is going to help our candidates. And Rick, I'll turn it over to you for that.
Great. Well, thanks again. That was really outstanding. It's so great to have these excellent candidates and passionate candidates. I think, you know, you can see that in both of these gentlemen, and you can see it in Greens around the country when they run for office. They're not doing it just because they want personal power. They're doing it because they're passionate. And wouldn't it be great if we had candidates like this across the country? And I want to piggyback on what Sean said. We need congressional candidates, and we also need people running at the local level. And this committee is focused specifically on congressional candidates because that's plenty for us to do. But, you know, it makes such a difference when you have a whole slate of Green candidates. Like it was said earlier, it's like not just president. And it's not true, but we get a lot of flack rather, for only running for president every 4 years. You know, everyone in this room knows that's not true, but apparently we're not doing a good enough job of advertising our successes and advertising our candidates, which is part of what this, actually mostly what this committee is all about. And like we talked about before those videos, that's just a sample of what this committee was able to do, again, on a shoestring budget with getting a late start. And imagine what we can accomplish starting now. Just we're actually 25% of the way between the last election and this election. So it's not early, but it's a lot earlier than we were able to start last time. So if we could have the financial support flowing now through the election season, we can do a lot more for a lot of candidates. And that's why one of the things we're asking, if you're able to make a financial donation, is can you do a recurring donation? Whether it's $5 a month or $50 a month or $500 a month, it really helps this committee plan ahead. If we know next month we're getting this much money and what can we do with it, instead of relying on a monthly fundraiser or phone calls or what have you to raise money. So if you're able to make a financial donation, please consider doing it recurring, so that we can budget. I recognize some names here, and those of you I've spoken with on the phone know that whenever I ask people to support this committee, I always ask, can you support us with a financial donation or in any other way? And this nationwide effort we have here to elect Greens to Congress isn't going to succeed just on the strength of ideas or the charisma of our candidates. And I think both of these candidates have a lot of charisma, and I'm glad they do. It's a good character trait for a candidate. But we need to build these campaign teams around the country to reach enough voters and to persuade them to vote Green. In 2024, very few of our candidates even had the financial resources or the support staff to make the impact that they would have needed to win or even to do a lot better. As Sean said, about average for candidates around the country is in the 2%, 3% range. And we want to be able to make a much bigger impact this year, and we want to get some candidates elected if we can. So that's where you all come in. We've created sign-up forms for our volunteers. There's a link that's going to be posted in the chat, or you can go directly to our website, gccc.us. There's a page there that you can sign up as a volunteer. We're going to need people in all areas of the country and in all areas of volunteer work. Or perhaps you have a lot of experience already in campaigning, or a special skill in your professional, like graphic design, accounting, working in organizations with volunteers. We're creating a job board to link our candidates with potential staff. And if you can put your special skill to work to help a campaign, either on a volunteer basis or for a small fee, we are looking for those kinds of people to staff up our campaigns. Again, I talked to a lot of the candidates who ran last year, and very few even had a campaign manager or a full-time treasurer or anything like that. And we really need to be able to help, and that's one of the services this committee's going to be providing. And just something to keep in mind is, even if our fundraising is successful beyond even our wildest hopes for this committee, what we're going to be able to raise nationally is like a fraction of what one Democrat or one Republican is going to raise for one congressional district. Sean was throwing around numbers like hundreds of thousands of dollars from AIPAC. None of our candidates, well, I shouldn't say that, but it's unlikely that our candidates are going to raise that kind of money to compete. So that's why we compete at a grassroots level. The example Sean gave about he did better in counties where he had grassroots support is totally true. So if you can volunteer on a campaign, and you don't have to be in the district, you can join a phone bank from anywhere in the country these days. You can write letters to the editor from anywhere. You can write postcards. There's a lot of ways you can help. And we'll get into that more as the months go by and more candidates start to announce. And as you volunteer, we will get back to you. We promise to do that and see how we can hook you in, either with our committee directly or with a candidate in your area or a candidate elsewhere in the country. So there's lots of ways you can help. Please do sign up either on the job board or the volunteer form, or both, and on the donation page. So with that, I'll pass it back over, and I think it was Justin was going to speak next.
Yeah, thank you, Rick. And yeah, feeding on that just a little bit. One little tidbit of fact, or I think it's pretty much fact. It's more or less a cost per vote. I like to look at in these campaigns, and cost per vote for a Democrat or Republican is anywhere from $20 to $50 per vote.
Wow.
And for a Green Party candidate, that's more like $4 or less per vote. So if you think about, how much, if Sean or Kymone were getting as much fundraising as a Democrat, we would smoke them, but we can compete with a much smaller amount. But we should, again, attempt to fundraise and stuff. So yes, please consider a donation to us, signing up on the volunteer or the job boards. And also, if you're in, the district for Kymone or Sean, please get involved directly. And as Rick was saying, you don't have to be in that district to also help out. So I'd like to talk a little bit about the bigger picture and the strategy here. So, why are we doing this at all? Right? Why are we taking our time to be here tonight and to involve ourselves with the Green Congressional Campaign Committee? I don't normally write stuff down, but I wrote a couple notes, and we'll see how much of it I actually read off the page or, kind of ad lib from. But so I wrote this down. We are the electoral arm for the people. We deserve a seat in the people's house with historic disapproval ratings of Democrats and Republicans. Now is the time to strike with as much force as we can muster. Now, there are, a lot of different thoughts about when we run for Congress, what are we doing? Or, when we run for these elections, what are we doing? And I'd like to talk a little bit about winning races, or what's a win, what's winnable, right? So first of all, let's talk about what's winnable for some of these races. Kind of talked about this a little bit, but, there's a lot of races around the country where candidates go unopposed, where in a strong red district or a strong blue district in Massachusetts, nobody runs against them. There's absolutely a reason why we should get a Green to run for that office. They can't throw the spoiler effect at us. And I would also say that even for like those safe districts, right? Again, the strong red or blue district, and say there was a Democrat running, who cares if you're a Green and running for office there? Because the Republicans are probably going to win anyways, right? So why not run as strong and hard as you can and outshine that Democrat? And your presence in the race as a candidate will force that Republican or that Democrat to take up some of your positions that are for the people. Hey, if for some reason you're running in say a Massachusetts district, a strong blue district as a Green, and a Republican pops up in the race, and for some reason like the Republican wins and you're labeled as a spoiler, well, own it and let's demand ranked choice voting. One of the reasons why we got ranked choice voting here in Maine is because we had strong Green Party candidates that really forced the conversation about, hey, I like this candidate, but I'm afraid of the spoiler. Well, give us ranked choice voting and we'll take that argument away. And that's exactly what happened here in Maine. So we talked about these unopposed races or these safe districts, but let's also talk about the top two primaries now in California. Now, I'm a little bit mixed on top two primaries because they can sometimes be a little bit skewed or cheated. It's like the Dems will stack the deck. They'll stack the primaries with lots of Dems running. So it can drown out other candidates, right? So the more candidates that jump in on those races, the harder it is to really succeed and float to one of the top two parts. But in 2018, we actually had 3 candidates in California that made it through the top 2. And basically it was Rodolfo Barragan, Laura Wells, and Kenneth Mejia. And they all did well in their races because it's just them against a Democrat. So what an opportunity and what a winnable kind of race that is. If they make it into the top, if Sean makes it into the top 2, he's got a stellar shot of winning. And to that end, now is the time to start. It's a top 2 primary, so his election really to make it to the top 2 is in, what is it, June of 26? So we need to focus, and we need to, first of all, we need to think about those kind of races and say, hey, we need to be there for Sean in June. Okay, the election's not in November. It's right now in June. And so we're going to try to do that. We didn't do that as well for our top 2 candidates. Jason Cole, who ran in Washington last year, we could have done better for his top 2 primary. There's so much more to cover here. I'm going to try to move along a little bit quicker. I want to get to some Q&A. Okay, so besides top 2 primaries, and again, what a huge opportunity if we make it through the top 2. And imagine, again, having that platform to talk about the Green Party values and priorities, right, in that race. I mean, it would be powerful. So also there, huge opportunities to win in these races are states with ranked choice voting, like Maine and Alaska, where we have decent ranked choice voting options. Well, it's a pretty obvious reason why we should run Greens in those races. And, it's winnable if we can get on the debate stage and, get our message out. And also, we can demonstrate that ranked choice voting works by participating in those races. And then we can also run in states where there are swing states, where it's a very purple state. The odds of winning in those races, right, in a close, like say it's a state like Michigan, very purple. The Democrats and Republicans are duking it out, and they're pretty close, but like there's a lot of people that would sit on the couch. And in fact, right, we know it's up around 40 to 50% that are really unaffiliated voters, or a lot of people sit on the couch in these elections, especially in off-year, like midterm elections like this. So in a close three-way race, really what it takes to win is about 35% of the vote. So in a very close swing district where people aren't happy with Democrats or Republicans, run a strong Green campaign and we could win it by a smaller percentage. Again, talked about this, like many voters who would normally stay at home, they might actually have a candidate to come out and vote for. And that's another part of the reason why we do this. We run for office because people deserve a candidate that they want to vote for, right? Rather than vote for the lesser evil. Now, I've talked about some scenarios where we could win these races. And by the way, if you notice there, I pretty much covered any state, right? So we should run in any state, in any district, and challenge power from Democrats and Republicans. And now let's talk a little bit about winning. And some people will say, well, let's try to be pragmatic and realistic. It's going to be hard to win these races, so maybe we shouldn't try to give that idea to people. I kind of disagree, because again, I think we can win these races. We just really need to, if people mobilized for our congressional candidates like they mobilized for Bernie, we would absolutely win races. But let's talk about what a win is. So, it's about building a movement in your state or your district. It's about obtaining ballot access for your state. So by running for office, you might be able to obtain ballot access for your state for the next 4 years. You might be able to, if you already have ballot access in that state, you might be able to maintain ballot access for that state. That's another win, right? And it's another chance to get the Green Party platform out to a wider audience, right? Because you're going to be engaging with people on the ground and getting our message out, and that we're for Medicare for all and against wars and genocide, and like housing for all. And of course, a win would be a win in general, right? To actually win a seat in Congress where we could actually have a huge amount of power as a swing vote in Congress, right? Or an always no vote, to vote against the Democrats and Republicans, against that war, against that genocide, against bailouts for banks, right? I think we need a person in Congress to represent the people, because right now they don't have anybody. We don't have anybody, includes me. So how we can win? Let's invest in candidates and candidate campaigns, right? So if you can donate to Kymone directly and to Sean directly, please do. Please also, consider donating to us here, and invest in their campaigns. And how we can also win, to improve our odds of winning. We want to teach campaign staff how to run more effective campaigns. So one of the things we didn't talk about yet, but we're planning to do in this election cycle, is to actually have the Green Congressional Campaign Committee help teach campaigns for candidates how to run effective campaigns. And it's not about candidate training, it's about campaign training. So teaching a campaign manager how to set up a phone bank, because that's not something a candidate should do. Kymone should be out there being a candidate and being the word of the platform, and a campaign manager should be helping him to elevate him in that race. And how else can we win? It's by building these movements that we talked about earlier. I want to mention too that we did outbriefs with our candidates from the last election cycle, and a lot of them were saying the same thing. I ran for Congress in this district, and after the race, we actually started meeting up as Greens in that area. So we're building a stronger Green Party when we run candidates for office too. And lastly, how we can win is please invest in the GCCC, whether it's with your time, your skills, your talents, or a donation. Because again, with a shoestring budget, we were able to do some really amazing things for some candidates in the last cycle. I think we made a good case for that here tonight. I know it's gone on a little bit long here, about an hour, and thank you for your time and for being here. I think we should try to open it up to some question and answer. And Kymone, you didn't speak for a full 10 minutes. Did you have any other thoughts that you might want to add and share here before we get started with Q&A?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that one of the things that we should all be thinking about is activating the general election. Primarily, the primaries determine the outcome of these elections, and the general election is just a mere formality. We need to really address that head on and tell the people that we're here to activate the general election where everyone gets to vote. I think that needs to be said more, because the general election is open to everyone. No one has to declare who they are. No one has to pledge their affiliation. It also requires some political education with this, because they are actually dependent upon people making the assumption that they have to be in a party to vote for that candidate. I'm not a Green Party member, so I can't vote for the Green Party. Well, you can in the general election. I don't know how many times at the voting booths I had to tell people this. So it has to be a level of political education that goes into this. I think that the general election poses the fertile ground for upsets, particularly for incumbents. They don't have to be the oldest member of Congress like my incumbent here in Washington, D.C., but anyone who has been there long enough to have done something, who have failed to do something, that doesn't have receipts for anything they have tried to do, is fair game, and it's open in the general election. And on top of that, I think we also need to pay very close attention to the decreasing average age in all of our voting districts. It's going down. It's a fact of life. And we really need to make the Green Party the party for young people and get them activated aggressively. College kids. And yes, I know Bernie has disappointed a lot of people. He fell short in a lot of areas, but he did leave us a jewel, and I'd like to share with everybody. Democrats are as complicit as the Republicans. Our two-party system is corrupt, okay? I think that we really need to beat that across people's heads, that here's somebody, one of the highest ranking officials in the U.S. government, sitting senator, who has declared that both parties are corrupt. That should be a raison d'etre to explain people and make it our case. And I think the fact that we all were excited by Bernie and that burn and what have you, we need to now take what worked and also amplify what didn't. And I think we need to be very vocal about our praises and criticisms of Bernie. I think his name should be synonymous in our campaigning across the board, because in actuality, those are the people that we want. Now, I'm not that amazed or impressed by AOC and Bernie, what they're doing now. I mean, you at Coachella trying to organize people. I mean, folks at Coachella is a bunch of rich kids and they drunk and they all, I don't think that's the people we should be talking to. I think it's a little tone deaf and elitist. I'm not saying they should have done it, but if you're not going to go to the inner cities, if you're not going to go to the actual urban areas, if you're not going to show up on these blocks in the middle, I mean, we're in DC. They weren't even here. How are you going to have a tour and you don't even do anything in the nation's capital? It's crazy to me, but I do think that we really need to hitch Bernie's successes and failures to our wagon, critique him honestly, yes, of course, lay it out. This is where he fell short. This is what he didn't do. This is what he could have done. That should be, because you're operating from the space of what they know. And there's a lot of people that do agree with your constructive criticism of Bernie. And again, his denouncement of both political parties is a conviction on why the Green Party is necessary. Third party in general, but the Green Party is the largest ballot access third party in the country. So therefore, by default, it has to be the Green Party if we're going to explore theories of social change. And in closing, let me say that one of the things that really worked for me in DC is that I had a campaign shirt. You know, it wasn't the shirt with my mugshot on it. That's not the one everybody wanted. The shirt that I could not keep is the one that said, "I'm not Republican, I'm not Democrat, I'm DC." So many people, I think like 300 shirts was of those were gone, you know, and now 300 people are going to be walking around with that shirt this summer, and I'm looking for them. I'm looking for them. So I think that we need to get beyond just, you know, your mugshot and your name, get to the core of the issues that we're about, identify issues that people are resonating with, like Free Luigi. I don't know what the Green Party stance is on that. You know, put your disclaimer on it, but I think that's because that trial is going to be the O.J. Simpson trial of this millennia, and I think it's going to come up during the course of this next election and the outcome during the next election. I don't know how y'all feel about jury nullification, but that's something I'm going to be espousing on what could be done. These are the type of radical revolution of values, as Martin Luther King said, is actually my campaign thing, needs to be politically imposed and educated and beaten to the heads of people so that they actually see the difference between a Green Party candidate and the two corrupt parties of this current political system. So I just want to make sure that we all fired up. I think that the writing is on the wall. It's inevitable. I think it has a sense of inevitability that third party will be successful. And if we are, I think it will be in the next election.
Thank you, Kymone. Fantastic points there. Starlene, do we have any questions from the audience?
Guys, feel free to
I
raise your
put in the
Yeah, guys, if you have any questions for the committee or the candidates, just raise your hand.
Okay.
Colt has a question.
And by the way, I did want to mention too, please keep your eyes on the chat too. Kymone's website is there in the chat. I saw that get posted. You know, we have those links to the forums and Sean's.
May I add one more thing? May I add one more thing?
Sure.
Sure.
One thing, because it was in the email, something on policy that addresses the climate change and environment. As a candidate, as you mentioned in my bio, that I wrote a novel about a conflict over water set in the future. This is where water has been priced beyond affordability and mass is forced to collect rainwater, which constitutes a new contraband. So there you have it. Not too far off. But I want to have single plastic bottles banned in the nation's capital. I think single-use plastics is one of the biggest problems that we have. Of course, it's a side effect of the oil industry, fossil fuel industry. But just by doing that, would change people's behaviors and would cause a shift, because you'd be surprised. I was doing logistics for the Hands Off rally here in Washington, D.C. at the Washington Monument. I was charged with making sure that we had water for the 20,000 people who was expecting to attend. They wanted me to buy 10,000 single water bottles, and I refused. I was like, there's a better way to distribute the water. You know, and it was like, well, what are we going to do, Kymone? How are you going to get the water to the people? I'm like, what did we do before there was plastic water bottles? Right? You know, so I got 5-gallon jugs and I put electric pumps on them and little paper cups, and people who didn't have their water bottles, and a lot of people did, they would use the little paper cups. And then by being a little paper cup, they only took what they was going to drink, right? And so thousands of people were saying, oh, this is such an efficient way to do things. This is so much better. This is what we're about. And that altered some people's thinking and also their behavior. Attaching that to policy will get us somewhere. And I just wanted to make sure that point was known, because by the year 2050, there's going to be more plastic than fish in the ocean if we don't do something different.
Yeah. Thank you for mentioning that, Kymone. And it sounds like it was a big success there, changing the people's thinking on that. So who was the person that had their hand up for a question, Starlene?
It was Colt.
And Colt.
If you want to unmute yourself, Colt, and turn your video on if you want. I'm going to change the view to everybody, the gallery. Okay, whoa, the people. Colt, you still there?
I see he's unmuted.
Hello. Hi, I'm Colt. I was just wondering, what is the role that Green local politicians play in congressional campaigns?
Well,
can I take a stab at that? Oh, or sorry, Sean, go for it.
Well, I actually just held a rally on April 5th that included myself and a local school board member with the Green Party. And I think that, well, for starters, we held, also Butch Ware was a speaker there. So we had our gubernatorial candidate, a congressional candidate, and a sitting school board member. And that school board member was able to, for one, reach out to his people, bring in a community that might not have otherwise been attached. And he has some particular credibility on certain issues in his region. Gabriel Medina, he lives in an area that's there's a lot of agriculture, and so he can speak with a lot of credibility to some issues that are specific to those areas, like pesticides, for example, that are poisoning the children. So I think that's, for me, maybe that's coming from a very selfish perspective, but you know, they can bring people in, and ultimately, I'm hoping that those local politicians will step up and run for higher offices.
Okay, thank you so much.
I just wanted to mention too that, you know, in order to have a successful campaign for Congress, we really do need Greens running at the local level underneath. And again, that synergistic campaign that you're talking about, Sean, is really huge, like for them and for you in your races. You know, there is another committee, right, that is helping candidates at the local level and for state rep. That's the Coordinated Campaign Committee, the CCC, not to be confused with the GCCC, the Green Congressional Campaign Committee. A lot of people tend to confuse the two. So next question, maybe.
Michael Aguilar.
Hey
Michael,
guys.
Great to have you.
Good to see you guys. So I have really two questions. My first question is, does the committee have any plans to work with the CCC and see if maybe some of the already locally elected officials may be interested in running for Congress, since they already have that credibility of having served in a local position? Maybe that could lend them some legitimacy and make it easier for them to be elected, so people see, oh, this person already has the experience. And second, will the committee be making sure that the candidates that that we're backing actually adhere to Green Party values, actually stick to the pillars of the Green Party, not just endorse someone simply because they have green next to them? So those are my questions.
Yeah, so I'll take a shot at both your questions, Michael. So we actually just had a meeting a few weeks ago with the CCC. So we do plan on working closely with that committee, and you know, supporting their candidates as well as them supporting our candidates and helping them recruit local office candidates, people that we can't support on our committee. And I don't know, we'll see what the future holds as far as our committee working with candidates that aren't congressional. And we do have a pretty decent vetting that we do with candidates, because we are aware that sometimes things happen where people say they're green just to get on a ballot because they know that's the easiest way to get ballot access. And I think we've learned some lessons and still learning some lessons on those candidates, and we'll do what we can to make sure that the candidates we support and endorse do adhere to green values.
And a big thank you to Michael, also a great volunteer for the Green Congressional Campaign Committee. Want to thank you for your volunteering with us here as well. So great to see you here too. I didn't know you were going to be here tonight, Michael. Please, looking forward to seeing you at an upcoming meeting here. Malik.
Yeah.
Oh, and also like to welcome Kalia Fitzgerald, our communications head here at the GCCC. Thanks for joining us, Kalia.
It's nice to be here. Thank you. And thank you for everyone that came. We really do appreciate it.
All right. And question from Malik. Hopefully I'm pronouncing it correctly.
I hope it's Malik. It's pronounced Malik Bellman. Yes.
Malik.
My name is Malik James Bellman. I have a question. I mean, what's the best way of actually drawing voters, like draw their attention to the Green Party?
So,
Okay.
oh, sorry.
Question.
I had some ideas on how to draw people to the Green Party.
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
Oh.
So what's the best way to actually draw people to the Green Party? Like draw their attention to the Greens?
I have some ideas on that. We have in our platform key differentiators. A lot of Democrats falsely believe that the Democrats are for universal health care. But if you go to the Democrat Party platform, it specifically states they're for quote unquote affordable for-profit health insurance. That hits them right where it counts. The Democrats are capitalists. Capitalists are for the capitalist class. They are against the working class. They are against living wages. They are against supporting the workers. The Democrats are bought and bribed by corporations and foreign interests like AIPAC, like the pro-Israel lobby. We see the war crimes committed by the Democrats and the Republicans in Afghanistan, Iraq, Libya, Syria, Somalia, Lebanon, Gaza, the whole earth, the whole world, all the nations, all the people are crying for justice, and we're not getting it. In this country, 2/3 of the people are against supporting Israel with arms. 2/3. When you point out that the Democrats gave billions to support genocide, committed war crimes, gave billions, tens of billions, hundreds of billions to support war crimes. That's going to make people angry. The Greens refuse to take money from AIPAC. There is an organization on Twitter called Track AIPAC who tracks the campaign contributions from the Israeli lobby and the Democrats and Republicans are both raking in the money hand over fist and supporting these genocides. The Greens do not accept any money from any foreign PAC at all. And Track AIPAC will endorse and give money to candidates that do not support AIPAC or pro-Israel. So if you're a Green and you're running for office, you want to go on Twitter, reach out to Track AIPAC. They will give you money. They will endorse you as long as the people that you're running against are corrupt. And the unions are are selling out the working class by voting Democrat and by telling I'm a union member, I'm in IATSE, but IATSE is part of AFL-CIO. AFL-CIO has sold out the working class to the Democrat Party. And we all saw what Biden did. He blocked a rail strike, just like Reagan did. That's when Reagan blocked the air traffic controller strike, that was the end of union support for Republicans in the
Ronnie,
1980s. Yeah.
Ronnie, can we let Kymone speak a
Sure,
little bit?
sure.
I think Kymone also would like to address the question. Thank you for your input there, though.
Yes, and touche to everything that was just said, and that was a great question. Just wanted to chime in. I think that we attract people to the Green Party by simply holding up a mirror to America's hypocrisy. As simple as that. When the people was so excited about Senator Cory Booker record-breaking filibuster, he was wearing his Israel AIPAC pin the entire time. And what did he do right after he caught some sleep and came back and voted? He voted against Bernie Sanders' bill to stop aid to apartheid Israel and sided with Trump. A lot of people miss that. We just need to hold up a mirror to America's hypocrisy. I think that, and if I may, this has been the least successful 100 days of a new president since World War II, and that's a verdict that's not rendered in a partisan way. It just reflects the judgment of markets. And this is from Lawrence H. Summers, the former U.S. Treasury Secretary and Wall Street Week contributor. So he's not a progressive of any stretch of the imagination. So anyone who sides with Trump right now is letting you know who they are. And a lot of them are basically using the excuse of the weaponization of federal funding to justify their capitulation. I think Political Magazine said it best, that Trump 1.0 was the resistance. Trump 2.0 is the acquiescence. And I think because Trump 1.0 was a shit show, but Trump 2.0 is organized. They got Project 2025. They got a game plan they're executing. They are not hiding their agenda. And people are bowing down, including the mayor and a lot of people on both sides of the aisle. And I think just by simply holding a mirror up to this hypocrisy should get enough to garner support for the Green Party and the third party candidates here. As Bernie Sanders said, the two-party political system is corrupt.
And one other thing I'd like to add to that about bringing people into the Green Party and to voting for Greens is what was talked about earlier, by Kymone and Sean. It was going out into the district and being there and being present, right? And talking about the Green Party values. When we talk about being in the communities, we're talking about, being involved with maybe some mutual aid or, being present, helping there, be seen, being green, right? Is the saying we like. And so I think that's another way that we bring people in to the Green Party. Kymone has that radio station he was talking about, so he's got a lot of people listening to him. And so there's a lot of power there. And again, sharing our platform, educating people by running these campaigns, we're able to talk to them about our values and bring them in. Let them know that there's an option. Hopefully that answers your question. Rick, did you want to talk to folks one more time here? Rick Less, are you still in the house?
I am definitely still in the house. I'm very enthused by this conversation. So if there's no other questions for the committee or for the candidates, I'll kind of summarize what I think happened tonight and what is going to happen. So one of the things that our committee members are doing kind of behind the scenes is talking with local and state Green parties about recruiting candidates. And one of the things that keeps coming up over and over is that anyone who's going to run as a Green congressional candidate wants to know what kind of support they can get from their local, state, and national party. That's like almost always something that comes up. And that's where this committee comes in and where your financial donation or volunteer donation comes in. We have big plans. We're creating these print and video, I call them candidate guides, everything from dealing with the FEC to doing effective media. We're hoping to start launching a series of Zoom meetings to help candidates, and as Justin rightly pointed out, campaign teams learning the ins and outs of volunteer recruitment and retention. We're gathering experts in the campaign field to help with these kind of trainings and to directly join campaigns. And closer to the election, we want to do direct voter contact and get out the vote, which includes things like phone banking and neighborhood canvassing. One of the things that's always going to stick with me from my early days with the party is one person I think of as a mentor. He was one of the first Greens elected to the city council here in Santa Fe. His name was Chris Moore. He spearheaded the living wage effort that I referenced earlier. And he used to say at his fundraisers is Greens are really good at running low budget campaigns. And Justin pointed at some statistics about how much bang for the buck Greens are able to get. But we can't run a no budget campaign. It just can't be done and expect any kind of results. And he would ask his supporters, can you give up coffee 1 day a week for this campaign? You know, and then he figured out back in those days, it was $2.50 for a cup of coffee at a coffee shop, do that 4 times. So can you give me $10 a month? So, you know, that was great for him. So I'm asking you, can you do that for the next year? Just give up 1 day, a cup of coffee, and donate that money to either our committee, preferably for us, or to the candidate of your choice. So the other thing I remember about him is he never said my campaign. He always said this campaign, or more frequently, our campaign, because he always knew that our campaigns were about not just this election cycle, not this current issue that everyone's fired up right now, but it's about building a base of political power that's going to last for years, hopefully generations, that will work for justice, peace, democracy, and ecology. We're going to be here. And, you know, one of my other, we on the Green Congressional Campaign Committee understand that well. We're not just here for this election cycle. We're here to build a long-lasting party. One of my other mentors was John Rensenbrink. I think some people here remember him from Maine, one of the founders of the National Party and the International Global Green Network. And he hated calling it global. He's like, we don't live on a globe, we live on a planet, which I always thought was funny. But I want to repeat the question that he asked me at the very first national meeting I went to. Are you in it for the long haul? And that's the key, I think, to everyone here. We know how important this particular election cycle is for establishing the Green Party as a force to be reckoned with. And it's a force for good that's just not going away. So one last time tonight, I want to ask, you know, can you make a financial donation to fund these efforts through this committee? Can you commit to volunteering for a campaign this election cycle? And if you have professional services, can you offer those to support our campaign? So please go to gccc.us. I think it's been put in the chat a number of times. And go to Sean's website, go to Kymone's website, and keep an eye on, we're going to be hearing over the next couple months more candidates that are announcing campaigns for Green at the state and local and federal level, and please get involved. So thanks so much for being here, and thanks for helping elect Greens to Congress and elect people to your local offices.
Thank you, Rick. Thank you, Sean. Thank you, Kymone. Thank you, committee members. Starlene, any last words?
Thank you, volunteers.
Thank you so much, all of you, for being here. We will be posting this on our YouTube page. I did put the link in the chat, and we will also email that link to everyone that was here tonight. Actually, everybody who registered, even if you didn't show up, didn't make it. And please share that link with your state party, your local party, with everybody you know. We want to get the word out about what we're doing because it's so important for the Green Party and so important for the country and the world. So whatever you can do to help, we really appreciate it. Thank you.
Go Green 2026.
Bye, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Thanks, everyone.
Take care, everybody.
Recording.